Hey everyone, what's up? This is Nick with Draftbit, and I'm joined by George. What's up, George?
Not much. Good to be here. Exciting hour in front of us. Can't wait.
Yes, that's right. We're so excited to see you all joining us here. Thanks for RSVPing. Thanks for logging in. We've got a really exciting set of demos here to show you. And I'll just do some quick housekeeping here before we get started. I don't want to keep you all waiting. So why are we all here? Draftbit, mostly George, honestly, ran a little accelerator boot camp that we're calling Draftbit Sprint. It's kind of a double entendre. Not only were people building flat out, but also it's kind of reminiscent of like an engineering sprint. So starting last Wednesday and culminating today, Tuesday, we selected a couple of aspiring app founders to bring their MVPs to life. And their challenge was to get an MVP into test flight within a couple of days. And so this kind of sounds a little bit fantastic, but I assure you that some really amazing work has been done. All of these founders are super excited to show you what they've built. And as you know, Draftbit team members, I think that we could not be more proud of what all these folks have built. So we're really excited to have them show you what they've built. There's going to be 4 app demos today. Actually, our first quote unquote founder is going to be George. So George is going to do our first demo. And he's going to show you his app. And then we have 3 other founders who are going to show off their apps. We have Steve, who built a cognitive journaling app called Cojo. Then we will have Carl, who built a social network for supporting others' fitness journeys called Spotter. And then we're going to have Chad and Aaron. I think Aaron is here to present today. To show what they built. It's an app called Jude, which is an app that supports new mothers on kind of that really exciting journey that they are on. So that's the lineup today. We're going to handle Q&A at the end. If questions come up as you are watching these demos, either if you have questions for the founders, you have questions about the program, questions about anything else, I would love to ask you to utilize the Ask a Question button at the bottom of this window. Please use the Ask a Question button. If you put it in the chat, I might not see it because we're going to go fast and furious here today. So please utilize the Ask a Question button at the bottom here. All right. And then 2 other quick housekeeping items. One is, all of these apps are going to be open for beta testing. So if you want to be a beta tester for any of these apps, there's a button right underneath our faces here that's right here, and it says become a beta tester. And if you click that, it's going to launch a little form where you can say, hey, I'm George, and I want to be a beta tester of the weather app and the cognitive journaling app. You can select one, you can select all 4. But if you want to become a beta tester, that button is right here. If you're watching a recording of this stream, we will put that link in the recording notes somewhere. Assuming this is YouTube, it'll still be down here somewhere. The one other thing that I will mention is that if you are watching these founders and you're saying, holy moly, that is impressive, I want to do Draftbit Sprint. Good news. This went so well, we're going to keep doing it, okay? So applications are open. I'm going to post this link in the chat. Applications are open. I think, you know, you all here today, we will probably prioritize the applications that come in through this channel because you all know what it takes to be a Draftbit Sprint cohort member. So apply to, we're going to be talking to the launch cohort. So cohort 0 is demoing today. So if you want to be a part of cohort 1, fill out that application and we can't wait to work with you. All right. I think we're ready. I'm going to kick it over to George. George is going to talk about the app that he built, demo it, and then we can ask some questions to George after that. Sound good, George?
Sounds great. All right, let me share my screen. I think everybody can see my screen now. I'm going to start. Yeah, here we go. That's good. So can you see? Yeah, you can see, right? Okay. So just a little bit of context. I did decided to join the cohort and like do it an app myself. Just that way, we're going through the same thing our cohort is going through, and we experience the same kind of milestone. And also, it's a good way to like join them. What I decided to do. So a little bit of a thought process here. I think there are a ton of benefits that we've seen from the no code movement. Opens a lot of opportunities. You can start your business for cheap, all kind of stuff that are very, very valuable. One that I specifically wanted to explore is it give you, now that it's so affordable time-wise and financially, to make a mobile app. I wanted to explore this idea of like, there are all those silly ideas that would definitely not be worth it if I had to invest like a month of work or like 10, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to build them. I would want to be very skeptic if I were to do that. I would want to like make sure I'm building the right thing because so much money. But now, like in a weekend, I can do a little app. So it opens up a bunch of doors to like fun stuff that I do it for myself, just as a entertainment almost. So the one thing I decided to do is a little weather app. Again, not because I think the world needs another weather app. If anything, we have maybe too many weather apps, but that was a perfect opportunity, an example of like, I can do one just for myself in just a few days and make it exactly the way I want. Plus, I'm having fun with it. I'm learning a few things along the way. So I thought it was a perfect example of like a little app I can do. And, I'll keep using it for me, my family, maybe friends, but it's probably not going to go much further than that, which I think is the fantastic thing that we now have available. So I sat down last Thursday and thought, okay, what's an ideal weather app for me? And the ideal weather app for me is essentially no weather app. Like I don't want to have to like open an app and like fetch some information and like, process that. Ideally, like regardless of how that works, I want that information to come to me at the time that I, most interested in that. So essentially, I thought longer term, mid to longer term, I want my app to be mostly push notification based. So I won't necessarily even have to open it. So I like to call this one that I just created the weather app you won't open. That's kind of the end goal. So that was my longer term. And then I was like, okay, I got 2-3 days to put something in test flight. So I'm not going to do it all. I'm not going to do like push notification, getting data and all that. So I can only do a couple of things. So here's what I did. You can see the builder. This is the Draftbit builder right here. I did essentially 2 screens. You see on the left, I have 4 screens, but those 2 is actually me iterating after our kind of deadline. So during our deadline, I only did 2 screens. The first one is asking you for your zip code. And the second one, once you've given it your zip code, is showing you the weather in that area. So, I mean, it could hardly be any simpler than that. And that's a perfect, in my opinion, MVP. Just want to test the whole kind of chain, going from like the user input all the way to like showing the data, because that forces me to, integrate a backend. In my case, I'm using Xano. It forces me to figure out like what are the services available for weather. So I had to do that. So yeah, essentially, not to go into too much detail, but one of the challenge was once I give Xano the zip code, then I was like, okay, how do you go from zip code to forecast? And you do a little bit of research, and that's really part of the typical process. You find some API. That there's one API provided by the National Weather Data that's free and open and not limited in any way. So I use that, but they require you to input like a grid information. They break down the world into grids. So like, what's a grid? I don't know. So then for another service to go from latitude and longitude into grid, and then you still have to find a third service for like zip code to lat long. Anyway, you go through that whole process, put that into, I did that and put that into Xano. Essentially now I have my Draftbit app integrated into a Xano backend, which triggers 2 or 3 kind of other services to get that information back. And that's it. And then, close the loop, show that in Draftbit, export my code, build it, submit it with Expo to test flight, and in 5 days, I've got this little app. So before I go any further, I'm going to demo it. I could demo it in the kind of the builder. We have this kind of very cool way to like preview your app at any given time in like a web format or iOS format or Android format, all of that in parallel. So that thing is actually pretty cool. But I was able to make it a test flight in time, so in that week. So I want to show you what it looks like on my phone. So let me, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and start sharing my phone. And Nick, keep me honest with the time. If I'm taking too long, I can rush through things or I can provide more data. You let me know.
No, you're doing good.
All right, close this video.
So George is going to mirror his phone to his desktop and then share it with us. It just takes a few seconds to switch over.
Here we go. So that's my iPhone. I mean, you can, it's plugged. That's literally what I'm looking at right now. We're looking at, like I said, this is a test flight. So test flight is, for those who don't know test flight, maybe I should say one word about it. It's kind of your step before the App Store. It's kind of a little like staging environment. You can test things out. It's actually pretty powerful. You can send it and have like, I'm not 100% sure what the limit is, but I think it's in the range of like 10,000 people, something meaningful. You can have a real beta, testing program with just test flight. And so you push it to test flight, it goes to a little bit of a reviewing out on the Apple side, and then you got your app. And so my app is the one at the bottom right. It's called 72-degree weather because that's the ideal weather. At least I thought when I named the app, and doing a bit more research, turns out it's actually a very big subject and people disagree on what the ideal temperature is for human. But I already picked the name, so now I'm sticking with 72. And so when I open it, a little splash screen that you can customize, of course, in Draftbit. And then I'm asking the user for the zip code. I'm also providing an example for people just, I don't know, maybe you don't want, first time you test the app, you don't want to put your zip code in there, or you're not sure. So anyway, type your zip code. There we go. And then we're going to search. Takes a second because, as I said, actually that's pretty quick, but it does call like 3 different endpoints, not including the Xano endpoint itself. So I don't do, because it's just an MVP, I don't do any caching or anything smart about it. Every time you re-enter the zip code, I'm going to refetch everything. So it's not smart, which is the point of an MVP. It's just meant to see if the whole flow works and if it feels good and if it's a good app. So that's it. I end up on that screen and I can scroll down. The very top of the screen, which is a bigger area, is going to be like the period I'm in right now. Like today, it's 61 degrees Fahrenheit where I am in Massachusetts. And then I can see what it's going to be like tonight, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and stuff like that. And I think it goes all the way to like 7 days ahead. As you can see, it's getting colder, and you can see that because now all the background for those later periods is blue, which is a little fun thing I did at the end. That's also was not like a requirement, but I played around with the idea of dynamically showing the color based on the temperature for that background. So that way you get not only like the temperature itself, but you get like a visual clue of like how hot or cold it is. And to finish, a little side note on that, later on, like I don't know if as I'm continuing working on that application, this is something I want to maybe add after the fact, like maybe add after my MVP. Now I want to do like user preferences. Maybe you can set the threshold where you think this is a good temperature. Maybe you're more like a 65 to 75 degrees, your like comfortable spot. Maybe it's not exactly that. So I want to add some kind of user preferences and maybe have user authentication after that and all that. But anyway, for now, I stick with the strict minimum I needed to do. And that's it. This is my app. There's not much more to do. Oh, you can go back, obviously.
So George, a couple of questions.
Yeah.
So first of all, can you just remind us, like, what was the MVP that you published as like your V0 into test flight? And then what did you add after you published?
So this, what you're looking at is what I published on what day was it? Was it Friday or Saturday? So that what you're looking at right now is the test flight build. So this is what I build as part of my MVP. What I kept working on after the fact that you're not seeing here is what I was talking about, like user preferences and things like. I haven't also done the push notification. Is something I'm going to start next. But right now, this is the MVP you're looking at.
Nice. And then I'll probably ask you like what's next for this app. So now that this app is live on test flight, I assume now you could do things like request users, location permissions from the app, and then just have a one-click, weather in my area, and not force people to enter their zip code into a text input field. Is that accurate?
That is 100% accurate and 100% right. And I didn't even think of that, but that's going to be next. You're right. That's even cooler.
Sweet.
But that's actually, yeah, that's the point. You can really iterate. But the thing I want to do next, really, beyond all that kind of icing on the cake with user preferences and like one-click zip code and all that, is get to the point where I do the push notification. Because again, the concept of the MVP is you want to test your hypothesis, right? You want to test the thing that you think makes a difference in your app. So my assumption is that I can make an app that I won't open, and that those push notifications will be valuable. They won't be annoying. They'll be useful to me. So I really want as quickly as possible to get to that stage, so I can really do the V in my MVP. So that's the most important thing I want to do next. All the other thing are cool, but less of a priority.
Awesome. So just because we're running up against a little bit of time, if you could just quickly, maybe like a minute or two, speak to the back end and how you have it set up. We have a question in the chat from John about why does it need Xano if these are like public APIs? So maybe could you just explain what's going on in the back end? You probably don't have enough time to demo it, but maybe just explain what's going on in the back end.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a great question I'm bringing up now. Yes, you're right. Because those are public API, you don't need Xano. I could have like medical, bring in from like medical with zip code, get the lat long back, and then medical to with the lat long and get the grid and grid to the forecast. The thing though is that then I end up putting a ton of logic into my front end, into Draftbit. And it's doable. We even have custom code in Draftbit. You can do it all there. So it's not a limitation of the tool. It's almost more of a like best practice. I want my logic to be outside of my client. I want ideally my client to be as light as possible and maybe focus more on like visual things or the experience, the interaction, the back and forth between the screens, the navigation, like hardcore logic, like converting lat long into grid point. That doesn't belong in my front end. Again, this is just an opinion. You can do it the way you like. And one motivation behind that as well is if it's in your back end, then you can reuse that for like a web app. Let's say, you want to do a companion app online, like a full-on like web app. Like we do provide PWA, but if you want something a little bit more sophisticated, like you want to do a bubble web app or things like that, you can reuse that backend, and you don't have to copy or duplicate that logic. So also, like Xano actually end up making that super easy. So they let you really put your logic. It's a no-code tool as well. I didn't have to write one line of code for this entire project. And so it's been a great third party to glue all those things together and expose that to one of potentially many front ends.
Awesome. I love that answer, especially the part about the more that's in your back end, the more front end complexity you can have. So thanks, George. If you have more questions for George, please drop them in the Q&A widget, and we will get to them at the end. For now, I'm going to actually kick George off stage and get to our next entrepreneur. So George, thank you so much for demoing this awesome app. If you want to be a beta tester of this app, make sure that you click the Become a Beta Tester button at the bottom of the screen, and you can, George will send you a test flight invite, potentially an App Store link. We'll see.
Yes. The app was approved 2 minutes before this call to the actual app store. So a step above test flight, nothing above that. So that's also in terms of like record, like going from literally nothing to app store in 6 days in my case. So that was really, really exciting to get that.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much, George. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Sounds good.
All right. Next, I'm going to bring up Steve. Steve is going to talk about his app, Cojo. So while Steve's coming up, here he comes. What's up, Steve?
How's it going?
Great. I was just about to explain what Cojo is. Actually, rather have you do that. Take it away. Tell us what Cojo is, who it's for, and then feel free to jump right into your demo.
Awesome. Cheers. So my name's Steve. I'm building an app called Cojo. It's a cognitive journaling app, which sounds kind of fancy, but essentially I'm trying to build something that's like what Headspace is to meditation. This is to journaling. And the aim is to build a tool that allows you to easily journal on your phone wherever you are. And it's full of a wide variety of guided exercises and prompts. And these have been designed with cognitive behavioral therapy in mind. So the idea is to make it really, really easy for people to not just build a habit to journal every day, but to build a habit that allows them to better explore and understand their thoughts and emotions and feelings. So it becomes sort of a therapeutic tool that makes cognitive behavioral therapy much easier to access for everybody. And that's kind of the main pitch of what we're trying to do.
Awesome. I love that. If you want to become a beta tester of Steve's app, hit that become a beta tester button at the bottom of the screen. I am filling that out as we speak because I'm super excited to try Steve's
Yeah,
app.
I'd love to see more people trying it out. I'm just going to try and share my screen and I will jump into this. So unfortunately, my app is still getting reviewed in the App Store. I was pretty ill over the weekend, so that slowed everything down. But fingers crossed, it will be launched as soon as possible. Can you guys still see my screen? I can't see the preview anymore.
Yes. So what we're looking at is Draftbit's preview mode in the builder. And so we've got an Android device, an iOS device, and a web render of the app all in the same view.
Excellent. I'm just going to run from the web render, just that's a little bit easier for me. So to sort of summarize where I've got to in this sprint, we've got a backend powered by Xano. So we've got authentication working so users can log in. So I will log in with an account that I've already made, if I can remember the password.
So you got sign up and log in working before today?
I did indeed. Oh, in fact, I already have an account, so I should be on this one. Okay. And this was one of the most valuable things from this sprint. This is stuff that for somebody who's a front end designer, it would have been absolutely impossible sort of even thinking about it sort of a week ago. So it's been super valuable. So one of the key aims of this app is to kind of make it super easy to jump straight into journaling every day. So you've got a home screen which shows you a couple of daily journaling exercises that you can do. You've got a check-in, a morning exercise and an evening exercise, and then also a place to put your favorite exercises, which at the moment is just sort of a dummy, but in the next sort of iteration, users will be able to choose which exercises they want to show here. So I'm going to jump into the morning practice. It's one of my favorite exercises. And you can see here, it's super simple. You just get asked a couple of questions every day, and users can just respond to these by inputting text here. As I said, these are all designed with CBT in mind. So I've been working with a clinical psychologist to sort of start developing these exercises. So they seem super simple, but combined with some other learning resources that we're working on, they should allow people to sort of really access that kind of higher level of thinking about thinking, which is kind of the aim. So I'm just going to put some very unimaginative inputs in here and hit save entry. So what that is doing is posting it to the Xano backend, and it's also cross-referenced with the user so that you can see your own exercises. And it's also cross-referenced with the exercise title itself, which is categorized And again, the aim in the future is to bring in some more kind of rich data using those categories and tags. So I'll jump across into the guided section. And this is kind of like a catalog of all the exercises that we currently have broken up by topic. So if we jump into the wake up section, you can see that morning practice is there. We'll jump into gratitude as another example and practice gratitude. So this is another exercise designed again to help people remember what they're grateful for every day. And it's just a prompt to get that kind of going. The other features that we've got in here currently are you can click through to get some more information about the actual exercise that you're looking at. Excuse me. And in future, we'll build out some more resources here so that people who want to dive a little bit deeper into kind of the heavier CBT side of it will be able to do that as well. And then finally, as I said, we've got authentication currently working. So you can also log out here. So you've got that entire loop of being able to sign up, log in, post exercises, and then also log out. Unfortunately, just at the end of the sprint, as I said, I was pretty ill over the weekend, so I wasn't able to build the page that will return all of those posted exercises based on your authentication. But that's very much the next step to get going. And using Xano, it's been pretty simple. So I'm in a good space to launch that hopefully in the next couple of days. And yeah, that's a quick run through.
That's awesome. If you guys have questions for Steve, please drop them in the ask a question box. We will get to them. Steve, you started to allude to it, but what's next for this app? What are you excited to work on next? What functionalities you're adding? What's your sort of end goal for this? Are you going to make a go at this and try and commercialize this app? Was this more of just an exercise and seeing what you could do? I mean, this looks like an app that I think anyone would be delighted to use, and I hope you continue on with it.
Oh, cheers. Well, yeah, so I'll start backwards. The goal really is to get this to a workable stage where I can start user testing this, because the exercise side of it needs a lot of user testing, and I wanted something that can put this into people's hands as an MVP and actually start seeing what that experience looks like and what that feels like journaling sort of daily on a phone. And the goal with it really is to eventually try and get some funding in the next couple of months and try and really make a run of it, because this is something I'd be really, really interested in pursuing sort of properly, as it were. In terms of the next feature set, I think the really big one is building in this extra page, which will allow users to call back their own exercises, because a big part of what we're trying to build is something where it's not only letting you input journal exercises really easily, but it's also letting you reflect on what you've written. So once that's built out, the next step for that is building in some sort of rich tagging system, so that it can start to turn your entries into a kind of dashboard of information. Things like, these are the common triggers that make you anxious, or these are the habits that make you happy. So building it out so that it's not just a journaling app, it's got that kind of that richer data layer as well. And then the final step, sort of thinking very far in the future, is to build out some paths, is what we're calling them at the moment, which will essentially be like a collection of like 35 exercises on a particular topic. And the aim is that you do one of those every day. So it's kind of similar to what we've currently got, but it would be a way of sort of addressing a topic at a greater depth. And that's when I think some of the deeper CBT sort of techniques are going to really come into their own.
That's super cool. What, if anything, like what did you learn, or what were your biggest takeaways from participating in this sprint and really trying to get an MVP out there, building with honestly like two platforms, Draftbit and Xano, that were pretty much brand new to you? Like, what are your biggest takeaways you're officially an app founder now, as far as I'm concerned. So congratulations on that.
I'll be putting that straight on my LinkedIn. So I think the sort of biggest learning for me was I've come at this purely from front end. Like, I know a little bit of code, enough to get by, but I'm by no means a back end engineer or anything like that. And this experience, both using Draftbit, particularly using it with Xano, has given me an opportunity to kind of learn about how API calls work, how endpoints work, and get a better sense for how you can start to structure back-end data, and how you can start to make that useful to the front end and how that kind of relationship works. And I think the other big thing was just realizing before doing this sprint, I sort of knew that you guys were pitching Draftbit as something where you could launch something actually to an app store or to the Play Store. But I hadn't fully appreciated kind of just how easy that was. And also the fact that you're working here with like pure code. So as somebody who does a lot of work for other clients, like I could use this, build it, and then deliver the code, and they almost don't need to know how I put this together. It makes it really, really powerful. It's kind of, I do a lot of work with Webflow, and that's the same. You can build visually and export the code, and having that as a feature, I think is like absolutely invaluable. I can't wait to use it for some more projects.
That's awesome.
That answers the question.
It does for sure. I mean, I think Steve's not giving himself enough credit. Like, yes, we did this Draftbit Sprint because we wanted to help accelerate timetables on launching, but this app would not be where it was without a ton of hard work. And I think what Steve has put out here is really, in my opinion, like a masterclass in MVP development. He didn't, I think what he was able to accomplish in these 5 days is like a tremendous amount. And I think, like, realistically, if I tried to build this much in 5 days, I would fail. But there were probably a lot of complex things that you wanted to build into this app. In fact, I know there were, because we talked at the beginning of the sprint. There are a lot of complex things that you wanted in this app, and we kind of said, hey, what could be the MVP of these things be? And you sort of scoped back a little bit, and were able to ship something that's super impressive. And as you can see, the comments in this demo day page, like, the comments are overwhelmingly positive. But I'm sure you're already eyeing the next feature that you can ship and the next improvement you can make, because that's kind of how you're wired. So we appreciate the compliments being paid to Draftbit, but 99% of what you see here is hard work on Steve's part.
Cheers. And seriously, massive thanks to you guys as well for the support, and like particularly George for jumping on at all hours of the day to bug fix things with me. That's been super invaluable. And like, not only is it fixed problems, it's given me the tools to hopefully fix the same problems in the future, which is great.
Awesome. Steve, any parting words for future users of your app? Anything that you want to leave us with before we kick you off stage?
I think I just love to see people using it in the wild. The other thing that's important is that actually the very next thing I'm going to implement is making it so that the whole Xano backend is encrypted. I recognize that using a journaling app like this is kind of sensitive. You might be talking about personal stuff. So by the time people ever start testing this, it will all be completely anonymous. It will be completely scrambled. So nobody, not even the backend service or any of our team, will be able to see any of that content, and that security is super important to us.
Love it. Okay, Steve, thank you so much, everyone. Round of applause, virtual round of applause for Steve. We'll catch you later, Steve. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
All right, so next up, I'm going to bring Carl up to the stage. Carl is the founder of Spotter. Let's see here, Carl, I'm inviting you up now. We were having some AV issues with Carl earlier, but I think he's got them resolved. Okay, I'm gonna unmute you. Okay, mic check 1 2, Carl.
Hey everyone, hope you can hear me all right.
Yes, okay, awesome. Cool, all right, Carl, tell us about Spotter. Give us the elevator pitch, and then please launch into your demo.
All right, yeah, so Spotter is a fitness accountability app. Because most people's problem with fitness, health, wellness, all that is not the perfect workout plan or the perfect anything. It's consistency. So I experienced the problem myself. I would get hot, work out for a couple of weeks, and then I'd go a week or 2 weeks without it and just totally pretty much lose everything. So I signed up for, actually the solution is mainly accountability, but I'm kind of saying it's 3 things. It's commitment, accountability, and then community. So I actually kind of discovered this when I signed up for Orange Theory Fitness. I signed up with a few friends, and even on a Saturday morning, if I was tired, feeling horrible, they would drag my butt to the gym. Like, I didn't skip anything because it was that social support. as well as signing up the day before. So I know like if I committed to a workout, like I have to show up. They even charged me $25 if I didn't show up. So I basically took that lesson and applied it to like, okay, how do I do this without like my actual friends? How do I do this without OTF who charges me? And the solution was like social accountability. So what Spotter does is you sign up and you set a goal, like 3 workouts a week, 4 workouts a week for 3 months or 6 months. And then to track it, you just take a little selfie, a post-workout sweaty selfie, and that's like your proof of workout. And then, so that alone is how it kind of functions. But the accountability aspect is that every week, those photos from the last week get emailed to your spotters, your friends, family, anybody who you kind of give permission to hold you accountable. So Wednesday, Thursday rolls around, and you're like, I don't really feel like working, like going to the gym or getting a exercise done at home. You know that on Sunday, your mom or your brother or your buddies are going to know that you skipped it. So that's the incentive to like it's kind of like, social shame in a way, to get your butt to the gym. And that's the MVP, is this accountability to solve the problem of skipping too many workouts.
Love it. Yeah, I don't care if my friends know that I skipped a workout, but don't tell my mom.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're gonna try to screen share this right on your, or first of all, like what's the status? Have you submitted to test flight? Did they approve? Are you still waiting? Did they kick it back?
It was submitted. They rejected it because of some sign-in issue. I'm about to resubmit it and get that going. So I'll try to share it's connected to my QuickTime player here. Do you see that?
Not yet. I don't see anything sharing at the moment.
Might have to do the window.
Okay. Yeah, the thing that George did in his demo, we've had inconsistent success with. You're supposed to be able to connect a phone to a Mac and play it through QuickTime Player, and it's kind of finicky. So we have a backup plan instead.
All right, do you see that?
I actually don't see I don't see you sharing anything at the moment.
Let's try this.
There we go.
What about? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the MVP. Oh, and the full stack. This is a big reason I chose Draftbit, is because it can connect to everything I want. I'm using Xano as a backend, Outseta for membership, because that does CRM, email marketing, help desk, ticketing, all sorts of stuff like that, integrated perfectly. And then Webflow for the landing page, and Rewardful for the member referral system, which is actually an exciting part, at least I think so, of the business model. The accountability app, there's other stuff like it, but this business model is what's really exciting for members. So here's the welcome page. I'll sign in.
Do you want to toggle your screen over to preview mode and kind of bring that like 3-up view that Steve had going before?
Yeah. Yep.
And if you, I don't know if you're able to do this, but if you kind of make your browser window wider, then it will fill up more of our screen so we can see your app a little bit larger.
How's that?
That's good. And you can probably increase your magnification on your browser window. If you're on a Mac, it's Command plus, and that, yeah, there we go. You can probably do it one more time. Nice. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So it takes you, once you log in, it takes you straight to the feed. It's like an Instagram feed with comments enabled. You can post comments, like photos, and it actually only shows, this is kind of a unique or neat thing in Xano, the last 2 comments, so it doesn't get super long. And then if you click into a post, you'll see more of the comments.
Nice.
And you can like, unlike everything, post another comment. And you'll see everything show up. So that is the feed, chronological. You can see existing members, and then follow and unfollow them. So you can see other people's workouts, again, kind of like an Instagram feed. This one has a bio and everything. Link to Instagram that opens up in a web view profile, and then everything you post. Adding a workout you can do too. This was some custom code that George helped me with. You select it from your phone, an existing image, and then add a caption. And it's uploaded, and you'll see that in your feed.
That's
so everything
awesome.
is pretty slick. You can check out profiles straight from the feed too, and their workouts, post. It's all kind of connected depending on, it doesn't matter what tab you're on. You can pretty much do every action from anywhere.
That's awesome. I'll just mention, because George called it out when you were uploading your photo, because you're sharing your window. Something that's kind of cool about sort of the nativeness of these apps. So you're showcasing the web version, the PWA version of your app. And so when you clicked upload a photo, it actually brought up your computer's file system, but we couldn't see that because it's a different window. And so you were basically uploading a photo from your file system, and then the app was loading it. If you had done that in either the Android or the iOS renderers, then it would have brought up the phone photo gallery, and you would have been able to select. So it's basically, no matter what device you're on, it's going to select the native file upload system, which is a really great advantage of building for both web and native with one code base. So sorry to pitch that in the middle of your demo, but folks might have missed it if I hadn't explained that.
Yeah, no, that's good. Another neat thing about that is when you select a photo, it actually has cropping on there. So it crops it into you can select how it's cropped, and then it goes into a square. So you'll see like some of these take up most of the space here. When you actually upload it, it's like the full space. So you won't have this white space on the sides when you're actually using it with your phone.
Super cool.
And another thing, so these workout photos are real, as you can tell by the development of the handlebar mustache. So yeah, you also did a bunch of selfies. One thing, a feature kind of, yeah, I guess I can talk about that later. I was gonna say, since you're recording all these selfies, when you hit a like 6-month goal or 1-year goal, I want to allow people to like create assets from that. So maybe it's just a GIF of all your workouts or a little photo book. So you can select photos and create kind of like a coffee table book of, hey, here's my like transformation. I think there's all sorts of like really neat things that can be created from just these simple post-workout selfies.
Yeah, that's I love that you brought that up, because it's kind of a nice segue into sort of like the what did you learn, what's next. So I think, you know, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but like when we started out, you were talking about integrating the reward system and having the app output, you know, assets that you could share to your Instagram story and a bunch of other like really cool things. And so you decided to sort of scope down to this MVP that you could ship, which I still think there's a ton in here, especially a lot of the custom code around photo upload and how you accomplish that. Like, how are you feeling about your MVP? How are you feeling about what's next? Maybe tell us, you know, what we can expect from Spotter in the future. Because I think, you know, this is a really great example of an entrepreneur with a huge vision, kind of, you know, shipping an MVP that's really compelling and iterating on it later.
Yeah. The immediate next steps for Spotter are to allow a live camera update. So when you add a workout, you can select a photo, or you can just take a selfie right there. So that's the next step to implement, and I've got some kind of rough code on that. The other feature is adding workout goals in here. So right now it doesn't track your selfies to a goal, like the weekly goal I mentioned. That'll be the next step. That's pretty important to have in the MVP. So then you'll be able to see your progress. Other people will see your progress to hold you accountable. Those are the first steps. And then the next, and after that, I think it'll be pretty decent MVP. The steps after that would be kind of grand vision would be a workout tracker in here. There's a ton of them out there, but if I'm capturing the data of a selfie, then it'd be more fun to have the sets and the reps you did, or the distance you run, things like that, and then that can be integrated in, the feed, any other types of assets that are kind of created. On a more like grand vision scale for Spotter, I see it like kind of like not just an accountability app, that's one aspect of it, but how I see it is an online health club for people who don't quit. So the entire reason to sign up is so you transform into a workout person. Other apps are usually around like workout tracking. That's a popular one. There's a bunch of them out there that are good. Or content delivery. So they'll use celebrity trainers or whatever it is just to deliver like, hey, this is what you should do. Nobody's really good at saying, you better do that. So that's where Spotter fits in. Another aspect of helping people solve the problem of like not skipping workouts, transforming into a workout person is what I mentioned earlier, but the business model. So Spotter software right now, I mean, it's a software company. Margins are usually really high, 80, 90%. Same thing with every other app out there, unless they pay some of the celebrities. Spotter is different because we won't spend any money on advertising or anything. And we actually have a referral model to get users, to get members. And it's a tiered referral model. So if you refer one person, you'll get $6 of their monthly membership dues. If they refer somebody, you'll get $3. If they refer somebody, you'll get $1. So that's what the tiered approach is. So, and part of that, so that, kind of cuts the margins down to like, 30% or something, which I'm perfectly comfortable with because I think it improves the product as well as the network. Like community will be a big part of this when people are signing up with their friends. But then it turns into another incentive to not quit. So if you if you invite 3 friends, then your membership is free. Like you're getting $6 times 3, it's $18. If they refer anybody, now you're actually making a few dollars. So for those people who get in, well, at any time really, but it's a business model that makes sense as far as we're still profitable. It limits our kind of marketing scope a little bit, but I think it'll be great for members because it gets better when they invite people. And if they invite a few people, then like at some point if you really want to quit and stop, working out, it'll actually cost you some money. So that is kind of like the grand vision is this online health club. That's the membership model and the referral model. As far as the product goes, because it's kind of a health club, the accountability product is one. There'll be discounts like buy anything from Nike, get 25% off, or 10,000 or anything like that. Adding any types of like features that people are currently using for health. So maybe that's like sleep sounds, right? Like sleep health. Here's a checklist for your sleep environment. Dark shades, quiet, no TV, stuff like that. A bunch of free content. Here's how to select a workout program. Here's how to try to find your own personalized nutrition program. This is what you should be thinking about. This is how you do lifts right. So everything that other apps do with like content, I can just use and deliver in a somewhat novel way, but to improve the lives of members. And then everything else just contributes to this goal of like consistent workouts.
That's awesome. Sounds like an amazing roadmap. Anything, Carl, that you want to leave us with before we kick you off stage and get to the last demo?
Yeah, I got one tip and one ask for everybody. The tip, if you're interested in Draftbit and if you start building your app in Draftbit, would be to go faster than you think. I am kind of a perfectionist sometimes that overthink things, but with Draftbit you're just able to go so fast that you shouldn't worry about design as much. You can always tweak it later. Like get it working because Draftbit lets you do that fast. So focus on speed with Draftbit. You can always clean things up clean things up later, and you'll learn way more just by focusing on speed rather than perfection or every single feature. So that's the tip. And the ask is, if you're interested, sign up at spotter.so. The landing page will be updated probably tomorrow, but you can still sign up for the invitation list. Or if you know anybody in the fitness space, like a trainer, gym owner, coach, instructor, or even like a social media personality, anybody who can help their clients with this. Because a lot of, especially like coaches and trainers, they have, they offer like a couple products. On the cheap side, it's a free program, or it's like an info product, 10 bucks, 20 bucks, whatever. And then on the expensive side, it's coaching, $500 a month or $100 an hour, something like that. But they run out of, like, they're trading time for money. So they run out of time and they can't increase their revenue. This Spotter for them fits this middle ground of offering a recurring product that works for their clients. So everybody who can't afford or doesn't have, or they can't fit more like personalized coaching, and they bought a product or they got the free product, they can actually implement that product now with Spotter. So it's great for trainers or anybody like that who wants kind of recurring monthly revenue and doesn't have time to do a bunch more work for it. So yeah, that's the ask. If you know anybody like that, let me know.
Awesome. Carl, thank you so much. Everyone give Carl a virtual round of applause. I'm going to kick Carl off the stage and bring up Aaron.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Carl. Have a good one. All right, I'm going to bring up Aaron now. Aaron is our third and or fourth and final app founder that's going to present today. Whoops, that's not how I invite Aaron. Aaron also has a hard stop at 2:05, so this one will be quick. Demo day is going to go a little bit over, but not dramatically over. So, oh, you know what, Aaron, we're having the same mic issue with the AirPods that Carl was having before. Is it possible to have you switch to? Is it possible to have you switch to device computer audio and maybe not do the AirPods? I realize you've got some outdoor noise. Basically, whenever I unmute you, let's try this. Okay, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Can you hear us?
Okay.
No, can't hear us. We can hear you. Can you hear us? Can you hear us now? Can you hear
Are
us?
you able to hear me at all?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, cool. I think we're on my AirPods, so
Can you hear me in
I
your
can
AirPod?
now. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you are talking through your computer mic, but you are listening to us from your AirPods. So just to let you know that we can hear you.
Perfect.
Since you do have a hard stop, let's have you jump right into it. What is Jude? And then just give us your demo.
Yeah, so Jude is an app really designed to help new moms, new parents in general, make their life a bit easier. Our primary objective is really to cast a wider net to screen for postpartum depression, because most new moms don't really realize that they might be at risk for that, or what some of those warning signs are, and they might feel a bit alone in that journey, even though 1 in 8 women who have a child, have a baby, experience all the diagnosable criteria for postpartum depression. So we're really just trying to help those women get connected to different resources that they might need. And the way that we're doing that is through building a breastfeeding baby tracking app, and then providing all the resources that a new mom might need right at their fingertips while they're breastfeeding, spending that time sitting there with their child anyways. So we can dive in and take a look at what it looks like right now. So the name of the app is Jude, and it's after my co-founder's son. His name is Jude, and just where they really learned the importance of having an app like this exist for people. And our goal is really to redefine maternity care, both at the healthcare setting for employers as an employee benefit option, and then ideally benefiting that end user. So the login screen really just welcoming new moms in, capturing a little bit of information about them, so then all of the following content can be customized to where they're at in their journey right now with their child. So all of that form, if users fill it out, it's all stored in Airtable currently. Our objective for this was really to get something up and running that we can show different corporations, healthcare centers, potentially investors, really get it into people's hands. And then as we really push it out into users' hands, we'll make a robust encryption system because we think that's important for your data to be your own as well. So then this is kind of what the main page of the app looks like currently. Each of these are different articles that that then can open up and give you a lot more information about different tips to help improve mental well-being for new moms. This series of articles will be targeted towards the changes the moms might be experiencing at their body level. And then these articles will be about their baby and different things related to that. Right now, it's not tagged and classified in that type of way. So that's one thing we're working on in the upcoming days. And we worked on like in our second iteration to try to push out, but we didn't finalize it yet. And then the final kind of component of where it's at right now is this bar down at the bottom. And if users click on the poop indicator, pee indicator, and then that the baby was fed, that's all stored in a database. So another next step for us is also building out a screen for people to be able to see kind of those trends and their data over time. So that's what we've done with Jude over the past week.
That's awesome. Sorry, I was on mute and talking to you. Super compelling use case. Great job. In your backend is in Xano, is that correct?
So our backend is completely in Airtable right now. We're exploring Xano, Firebase, or AWS and trying to come to a conclusion there, just because that user authentication is a really key element of it, but we also want to balance it with easy access for other team members to add resources, content, other articles into the system. So I might envision us using Airtable for a content management backend, and then for user data backend using either Firebase or Xano, I think might be what we're leaning towards right now. But we're still making that decision.
That is awesome. Highly recommend Airtable for MVPs. Really happy to see you all make use of that tool. So congrats on shipping with Airtable. I think it's a great use case.
Yeah, definitely recommend if somebody just wants to get something up and running. Like normally I like to, if I know I want data to be encrypted for users, the inclination would be like, oh, make it all perfect from the beginning. But Airtable makes everything so easy to at least get things up and running and linked up in a meaningful way to at least test things out.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, I know that you've got a hard stop here, but any parting thoughts that you want to leave everyone with about your journey, about the app itself, about next steps, and then we will let you go.
Yeah, so I mean, the past week has been super exciting for the team and I. We heard about this opportunity a week ago exactly right now, and then we were like, let's just do it and see what happens. And now we have different meetings set up next week with different organizations, healthcare providers, things like that. So everybody's able to start running in a much faster form. Even though all of the backend isn't 100% linked up yet, we're now able to take those next steps forward by having a functional MVP that can be meaningful to people. So I would just recommend pushing out the basic version, so then the rest of your team can do their part too.
Outstanding. Aaron, thank you so much for taking the time to demo your app. We will let you go. If you want to be a beta tester of Aaron's app, click that Become a Beta Tester button at the bottom of this window. Again, Aaron, thank you so much, and we will talk with you soon.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring, we had to let Aaron go, but I'm going to bring George back up, Carl back up, and Steve back up. If you guys are still hanging out, would love to have, get this Brady Bunch view going here. I think we did a pretty good job of tackling the questions as we were going along. Art, thanks so much for all the great questions. Yeah, I mean, here's what I would say was my big takeaway from today. First of all, I think I can't stress enough, like Steve's got a UI background. Carl, you're a, non or semi-technical founder. Aaron as well. I think she would consider herself semi-technical. I am so impressed by not just how much you all were able to ship, but the manner in which you all were able to ship it, sort of learning and doing at the same time and doing it iteratively. In case anyone is wondering what the theme of the day for me is iteration, starting small and growing over time. Mm-hmm. So you all should be, really proud of yourselves. I think what I heard from each of you is that you're all taking these apps forward, right? You're all founders now. You all have big plans for these apps, and hopefully someday I think these things could be full-time gigs for you all, and you can call yourselves super successful founders. So I would like to speak on behalf of everyone here and saying, like, we are so proud to be part of this first week of your journey with you all, and to be able to say, we were part of this. We knew Carl and Steve and Aaron when it was their first week as app founders.
MVP.
Free MVP, pre-user. We all get to be your early users. Like, this is super fun to be. I don't know, maybe I'm just the only one that's getting a kick out of this, but this is super fun to be a part of these journeys. And you all have inspired us so much at Draftbit to want to keep doing this Draftbit Sprint thing. This was an experiment, and you all proved it to be a success. So thank you so much for sharing your hopes and dreams and excitement and hard work with us. So big round of applause for you all.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Does anyone have questions for Steve, for Kyle, for George? Hopefully you don't have any questions for me, because that would be ridiculous. Let's see. Art asked, would the graduates of this program be interested in creating a cohort community as more cohorts come and go and knowledge share? So I actually was I wasn't gonna ambush you all in this demo day, but I was gonna ask you all after the fact, like, would you all be willing to come back and be like TAs or coaches or mentors or whatever for future cohorts? Like, can we go around this? Can you guys be like the OGs who help other founders with their first week in their journeys?
Yeah, sure.
That'd be super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the answer to that's yes. Any other questions, comments for these guys? We're already 10 minutes over, so I'm not going to force the issue, but I just don't want this. I don't want this moment to end, guys. That's what I'm trying to say.
There were a lot of questions that we've already answered throughout the thing, and I'm sure you're gonna touch on that, but we have a very active community. So if you're just curious about Draftbit, you can always come to like community.draftbit.com, ask a few questions, reach out to us directly, Twitter, anything. We want to be as connected to users as we can, so don't be shy.
That's a great point, George, and maybe the point to end on. So just to recap, we just saw 4 amazing apps. If you want to become a beta tester for any of these apps, hit that button down there to click become a beta tester, and we'll pass along your email to the founders whose apps you want to beta test, and they'll invite you in. If you would like to be part of the next cohort of Draftbit Sprint, there is a survey that I've shared about 1 million times in this chat. I'll paste it one more time in the chat in case you missed it. We would love to work with you all, just as we work with Carl and Steve and Aaron. And if you're just curious about Draftbit, come check us out. Sign up, 14-day free trial, no credit card required. Join us in the Draftbit community, and we'll help you. We want to see you be successful. And with that, I'm going to say on behalf of everyone here, thank you so much for joining us for Draftbit Sprint Demo Day V0. This has been a blast. Thank you so much to the founders, and we will see you on the other side. Bye, everyone.